But first, coming soon to a Senate near you, the Lost Treaty. Wow. I mean, look at that. It stands for Law of the Sea Treaty. It must be cool. No, more accurately, lost refers to what happens to our sovereignty if we ratify it. Basically, we would hand control of about 70% of the Earth's surface and the air above it to the UN. If you've got a problem, don't worry. The UN will be there to arbitrate your dispute. And who wouldn't want billions of dollars to be funneled to the UN with no real control on how they spend it? I mean, what could go wrong? Weren't they the guys who did that oil for food thing? It worked out. Amazingly, the disaster called the Lost Treaty was passed in the Senate Foreign Relations Committee by a vote of 17-4 yesterday. Now it goes to the full Senate, where it needs 2/3 vote for a final approval before it becomes part of our Constitution. Many in the Pentagon support it, the President supports it, much of big business supports it, and it looks like enough senators might be on board to get it through. But despite the reports of the contrary, one man did not support it, and that man's name was Ronald Reagan. He said, and I quote, "No national interest of ours could ever justify handing sovereign control of 2/3 of the Earth's surface to the third world." One of the 4 members of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee to vote against this treaty joins me now, Senator Jim DeMint. Senator, I cannot believe that this thing it still has breath. What is it that people are missing, or am I wrong on this?
Well, Glenn, I think you hit the nail on the head, because this is a sovereignty issue, and Americans are increasingly concerned and I would say even alarmed about a Congress, a government that's willing to give up more of our sovereignty to international groups like the United Nations or world courts. In this case, this is an obscure treaty that very few people have heard about, but it's been around for over 25 years. As you said, Ronald Reagan refused to sign it because he didn't want to submit the United States to a number of countries who would not act in our best interest. And that's still the case today. There are a lot of theories about it that sound good, but the fact is this does give up our sovereignty. It submits us to arbitration with countries that have consistently voted against us in the United Nations, and it would give other countries control about how we operate in our seas, about mineral rights, and even on land-based pollution. It would give them the ability to tax American companies. For the first time, an international body to actually tax American people. There are a lot of reasons not to vote for it.
I don't even understand. It also has something in it called the Enterprise, where if Exxon wants to go and do some offshore drilling, they have to have 2 sites. Correct me if I'm wrong. 2 sites. They go to the UN and they say, we would like to drill here and here. The UN says, okay, well, let us look at it. They come back, Exxon comes back, and the UN says, you can drill in this one. We're going to use your equipment and your finances. We're drilling in this site, and we get to keep all the profits. True or false?
Well, the language appears to leave it open to exactly what you just said. There are a lot of loopholes in this language. The real supporter of this, Glenn, is the Navy that wants more predictable access to waters around the world, but they fail to read the rest of this long treaty that is filled with legal loopholes. And the problem we have is the United States, that other countries don't obey the UN and the Law of the Sea Treaty, but we obey the laws, and it tends to put us at a disadvantage.
Okay. Here's the thing. First of all, Iran has already signed on to this, so we're in good company there.
Yeah.
All the Republican candidates for president are all against this, but how many Republicans are in this committee that just voted 17-4? Why aren't all Republicans, and quite honestly, all blue dog Democrats also against this?
Well, there's been a lot of selling going on here in the Congress, particularly among Democrats, but I think the more attention we bring to this and the more outrage we get from the outside, the better chance we have of defeating this thing. So I appreciate you bringing it to the attention of your viewers, and that's what we're trying to do here, those of us who are against it. You know, we've got to get about 34 votes in the Senate to stop this, and I think we can do it if we can just get people on the outside to know that, hey, Congress is giving up a little of our sovereignty again, and I just don't think the American people are going to swallow it.
Senator, thank you very much. And I think you said a mouthful when you said there's a lot of selling going on. They're selling out our sovereignty every single day in Washington.